I'm originally from Jamaica. You do one of three things there. You either run track, I'm not extremely fast, you play soccer, or you eat jerk chicken. You know, I kind of did two of the three.
Could you explain a little bit about your younger life and how you grew up and how playing soccer was a huge part of that?
So growing up, I mean, that's the sport that pretty much every kid plays. You know, so representing my high school, played semi-pro, you know, got called into the under-19, you know, national setup as an alternative player, and, you know, then got a college scholarship to University of Alabama, Huntsville.
While you were there, you said you graduated with a computer science degree?
Yeah, in mathematics.
How did you manage to fall into that?
Besides being a coach, I'm a little bit of a geek. I always liked computers growing up, and I think when I was home at that time, it was the career of choice. You know, I mean, it was a career that would probably, you know, give you the best financial background. And so I thought, oh, why not just do that? And then I could always come back home and be a computer scientist, make a lot of money, play soccer whenever I want, and eat a lot of jerk chicken. And could afford a lot more jerk chicken.
You said there are three things that you do. You either run track, play soccer, and eat jerk chicken.
Yep.
So I'm guessing that means you have quite an appetite for food.
Yeah, I love eating, but you know, my staff will tell you that I'm probably the most predictable eater. I just usually pick one thing at any place we go, and that's what I always have. But I love to cook. You know, and that's from my mom. You know, I usually complained when I was younger about the meals she made, and she quickly taught me how to make my own.
So what are some of the things that you love to make, and how do you get your supplies?
I mean, I do have my secret stash in my secret freezer that nobody's allowed into, even my guests that come over. And, you know, so I'm able to kind of sneak a little bit of authenticity back in my world a little bit, you know, and certainly I'll keep certain cooking spices or stuff like that I can use to make those foods. You name it, I cook it. Chicken, steak, fish, pasta. You know, I just like to cook, and I think it's because I like to eat what I want to eat when I want to eat it. And the easiest way to do that is to just make it yourself.
Did they know this side of you, the home chef?
Not really, because then they'll ask to come over to the house, and I'll have to find a way to tell them they can't. They probably don't have yet an acquired and very astute appetite for food outside of the U.S. So I'm not quite sure they're ready for it.
So we'll move back a little bit to soccer. You said you played a little bit on the international, was it the youth team?
Yeah, I mean, you know, when I was in high school, I'd call into, you know, the under-9 international team, you know, for Jamaica, you know, as an alternate, and, you know, got to play in a couple games.
Okay, so did you get to travel the world a little bit with the team?
No, I mean, you got to remember, Jamaica is still a third world country, even though when I was playing, it was probably a 10th world country, if there was such a thing. We have a little bit more money now. But, you know, I mean, it was basically, you know, within the Caribbean. Ironically, you know, the club team I played for is called Real Mona. And we were nicknamed the College Boys because the club had a tendency to have a lot of players that were based at University College in the U.S. You know, schools like Howard, Clemson, Duke were some of the places that some of the members of this team attended school while playing for that team in Jamaica.
What made you decide to pursue college instead of continue to try to work on the professional game?
There's a guy that came that was on vacation. He's from Jamaica, and he played at Alabama, Huntsville, lived in the neighborhood where our club was based. You know, came in, and I was kind of lazy because the coach wasn't there that day, and I didn't want to play, and he wanted to know if he could play, and I thought it was a perfect excuse to let him play. And so he played, and he was appreciative that I gave him that opportunity. We got to talking, became good friends, and realized that he was now graduating. And he said, hey, you could replace me. I wanted a better educational opportunity, you know, and so the two kind of worked hand in hand, and, you know, took his place at Alabama, Huntsville, and started playing there.
Did you spend time in the States, a significant amount of time in the States, before you moved to Alabama?
No, I mean, that was an interesting thing. I'm not knowing anything about Alabama. I just want to go to the U.S. and see what it has to bring. And, if I have to use the bathrooms that are outdoors and not indoors, according to what my friends told me back in the 80s. So everybody in Alabama, don't get too crazy. That's what I was told. But now I know that's totally different, and it's actually a great state to live in. And I found it to be a very fun place when I was there. I went to work. I was a very good student. I mean, so I really got picked up really quickly after graduating, for a job in corporate America. That was my 8 to some random hour. And then I coached soccer after work and also on the weekends, and just discovered that in as much as corporate America was paying me a significant amount of money, even more than I'm being paid now, it just wasn't my passion.